speaker of this semester. So this semester. Scott, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself. Just a little about it. Real estate development today is the topic, commercial real estate generally. So this is where I have a lot of interest. Real estate club and other classes in real estate. Scott will tell you, years ago when he was here, there was almost nothing in that. So we've grown in a whole bunch of different areas, lots of different opportunities, investment banking, real estate, financial planning, a lot of things that just didn't even exist 10 years ago here at the Hudson School. So I'm just gonna turn the time over to him and as long as you want.
Hey, yeah, that's great. Nice to meet you guys. My name's Scott Laneri. You can see on here, oh, I'm mic'd up. I'm like yelling as if I'm not. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, I've got like a weird back echo. So my name's Scott Laneri. Last name is like canary with an L. That's the easiest way to remember how to say it. I just wanted to start off with like what's most important to me. This is my family. I'm married. I have 2 little boys. This is our first little boy, and then we just added, this is little Peter. He's now 2 months old, so this picture is a little bit old. But we're adoptive parents, so we actually adopted both of our boys, and just adopted little Peter 2 months ago, and it's been a really awesome 2 months. Ryan asked me to come. We talked about this like in December, and I've been a little bit tied up since then with work and then family things going on. But this is just kind of my world. I wanted to start there because we're about to dive into a bunch of stuff about work, which is awesome. But wanted to just start out there. We live in Bountiful, Utah currently. I grew up in Heber. Anyone from Heber here? Anybody? No? Okay, that's awesome. How many Cache Valleyites do we have here? A couple? Okay, everyone else, Utah? Yeah, non-Utah. Wow, guys, that's what I'm talking about. That's awesome. That's good. We need more of that. Good. So yeah, today I'm excited to talk to you about real estate development. I went to Utah State. I studied finance and economics. When I started at Utah State, I really wasn't totally sure what I wanted to do. I think I changed my major probably 4 different times. Well, I was always kind of business-ish, but I thought I wanted to go to law school at one point. I really thought I wanted to be in investment banking at one point. I thought about accounting at one point. I really loved marketing. I did an English minor, almost. I did a lot of almost. And then I ended up leaving Utah State with like, so a financing and economics degree. And then I think I had like 3 minors, and it was like marketing, economics, and management, which were super useful, guys. No, minors, they didn't help me out a lot there, but I think the minors today are a lot better. But I went to Utah State, loved it, had a great experience, best 9 years of my life. Just kidding, I was here for 4. I went on to work for a while, but I ended up getting a master's degree in real estate development from the University of Utah, which maybe I'll talk about a little bit here. Since I left Utah State, though, 9 years ago, I've been with a company in Salt Lake called the Ritchie Group. So the Ritchie Group, we're a real estate development company. We're sort of a 2nd generation quasi-family office. So the company was started in the 1970s by a guy named Jim Ritchie. Jim Ritchie was kind of this consummate entrepreneur. He loved just doing business. He would do deals like, he owned a wide variety of businesses. He owned like a large chicken coop, and then he also ran like Chevrolet dealerships, and he had real estate. He had a lot of different eclectic businesses, but he always kind of kept real estate in his back pocket. Eventually his sons took over the business. They got rid of all of the other kind of random businesses, and they just focused on real estate development. So the company, you guys are familiar with like the Great Recession. Have you guys heard that term in 2008, 2009? The Ritchie Group was mostly a single family housing developer. So they did a lot. They had done about 7,500 single family homes. When 2008 hit, they just got absolutely slaughtered. So I was telling Ryan this at lunch earlier today, but we had lots that were for sale for like $300,000 a lot, and the prices dropped to $20,000 a lot, and we couldn't sell them. That's how bad it got during the recession for single family like lot subdivision developers. So at that point, we decided, hey, that's a great business. They did really, really well there for a while, but the problem was when it gets bad, it gets really, really bad, and there's no way to like keep cash flow going. And so after the Great Recession, the Ritchie Group decided to pivot. We decided to go into cash flowing assets only. And so since that time, I'll talk about it a little bit more, but we've been developing apartments, hotels, big industrial buildings, and things that like generate monthly cash flow. Because those guys in 2008, they got like this close to losing their houses. They went from being extremely well off, super wealthy. Like one guy tells a story, he was with his wife in a hot tub in New York, and they were talking about, man, it's so great. Like once this deal closes, we're gonna make about $2.5 million. And then like that night they got a phone call that like Lehman Brothers had gone under, and that all these things were starting to crumble around them. And instead of making, $2.5 to $3 million that month, they just started like hemorrhaging money. So I don't know why I'm going into that much background. It's actually a happy story. The Ritchie Group, we're now doing better, so that's a good thing. But I want to talk a little bit about internships and job shadowing. I'm sure you guys hear this a lot in this class, but I can't stress enough. Real quick, how many of you are freshmen? Have few sophomores in here? Others? Upperclassmen, juniors, and seniors? Okay, quite a few. Okay, cool. So internships and job shadowing. I really like can't emphasize this enough. So I got my job at the Ritchie Group by doing an internship. I had been applying to different internships and I ended up calling one of the partners at the Ritchie Group for advice about an internship. And I just said, hey, I've got 2 internship offers and I'm not really sure what to do. What are your thoughts? And he ended up saying, hey, well, that's awesome that you have those other offers. Sounds like you've been, like you're a sharp guy or whatever. And he was like, well, why don't you come and do an internship with us? And that was how I actually got started in this career and in this job. It was by applying to different internships and then actually like getting one and starting it with an internship. So that was 9 years ago. And now I'm old and out of shape and washed up. And but it's been a great 9 years. So for you guys, even like for you freshmen and sophomores, like I know a lot of emphasis is placed on that junior and senior internship, but like start looking now. It seriously makes such a big difference. And even if it's not exactly what you want to do, like when I look at resumes, I always want to see an internship experience. And a lot of the time you meet really sharp people. Like for you guys who are upperclassmen too, it's okay if you haven't had one. But it just helps a lot. And if you're having a hard time getting internships, then offer to go and job shadow. Call somebody up and say, hey, like really interested in what you're doing. Can I come hang out with you for like an hour and just see what your day-to-day is like? That will go a long way and it makes a big difference. Want to talk about real estate development or commercial real estate and real estate in general. So real estate is a huge industry. And you kind of have 2 big components. So one is commercial real estate, and that's what we're going to focus on today. And that involves multifamily development, which is just a fancy way of saying apartments. You got hotels, office, retail, big buildings. Think of big, large, expensive buildings. The other side is residential development, which is also a really big industry. But that's like single family homes. So houses that you guys grew up in and like what I talked about what the Ritchie Group used to do. So we now focus primarily on commercial real estate or exclusively on commercial real estate. And we really do kind of 3 main food groups. So we do multifamily development. This is a project that we just completed in downtown Salt Lake. This is right across from where the Jazz play. It's a 240 unit apartment building. It's 11 stories. It's been really fun. It's a really cool project. We're going to talk about it a little bit more with the branding, and I'll show you the website and stuff. But this is a huge area of commercial real estate right now is multifamily housing. So in Utah right now, there are 20,000 housing units, we're 20,000 housing units short. So like we need 20,000 more apartments or houses just to to equalize the supply and demand in Utah. So right now apartments, that's why you see like everywhere, there's so many apartments just going up all over the place. And that's what we've been focusing on for like the last 9 years, is just really trying to hit this heavy. Another big area where we try to focus on is industrial development. This is, so you think about like Amazon. Amazon is like one of our, well, not one of our tenants, but the next door neighbor of us here. These big online retailers, have any of you ever heard of Stitch Fix? Anybody? Okay, they do like subscription online clothing. So Stitch Fix is a big tenant of ours. It's a company where you can pay like $35 a month or $40 a month, and they'll just drop ship you a new outfit every month. I haven't actually done it, so I don't know if it's like good clothes or not. So I'm kind of hesitant to talk about it. But those are they're paying the bills. That's right. But those are the kind of tenants that you get here. Right now in Utah, there's a huge demand for industrial development. And the reason for that, like you guys have probably heard, Utah is the crossroads of the West. That's true. Like when you look at maps, you'll look at all the way that the highways intersect across the United States. Nearly every major highway in the US comes through Utah. Same thing with like plane routes, like the Salt Lake Airport, that big expansion that we're doing, that's because Utah is so convenient for so many people. It's just a central area for people to land and then fly to different areas. And then a new thing that's happening, I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but it's called an inland port. So like typically big shipping containers come in from China and overseas, and they'll dock in like LA and Long Beach and in California and Florida and Texas. The problem is that those ports are really hard to supply enough labor. And so what will happen is like you'll get 30 shipping containers and they all need to be offloaded, but there's not enough workers to actually do that. So what Utah did recently is they actually connected the train network. So now a shipping container can come into the port, they'll take a train directly from LA without ever opening the shipping container, and then they'll actually do all of the customs and all of the unloading here in Utah. And so because of that, there's been a huge bump in the demand for storage. And that's, again, like some of our tenants, all they do is storage for, it's just temporary storage for different companies. So industrial is another big thing. These are just a few projects. I'll just zip through those. Those are more apartments and things. And then this is the last kind of food group that we dabble in a little bit. We do some hotels, and hotels are really fun. Like this is a really cool project that we have in Hawaii. This is on Kauai, if you guys have ever been there, near Poipu Beach. And it's awesome. Like this pool was voted best pool in America. That kind of stuff is really fun and really cool. But hotels are riskier. So like I think hotels are a blast to work on. But anyway, we'll kind of go through it. But the problem is when hotels do really well, they do super, super well. And when the economy is bad, they do really poorly. And like COVID was especially bad for hotels. You guys know, like hotels shut down, they became a lot cheaper to stay in. And so we're just now kind of recovering from that. But those are the three things that we do. Now behind, yeah, exactly. I visit it like once a month and just, yeah, make sure everything's looking okay. No, I wish. Yeah, that would be a cool job though. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, no, it's an awesome project. It's beautiful. Our partner on it is like the former owner of RC Willey, and he's like a funny story on him. So he's like uber wealthy. He's a billionaire. He sold his company was bought by Warren Buffett, and this is recorded. Okay. All right. Okay, so he's great. I'm not going to say anything like super secret. He's just a funny guy. He's in his 80s. And so this is like a multi-$100 million development. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, it's really high end. It's like one of the highest performing hotels in Marriott's portfolio. And our partner, or the guy who kind of really runs it in general, is he founded RC Willey, sold to Warren Buffett. But he founded RC Willey and made a lot of money by like doing things like really, he works hard. He's really tight with his dollars. And so he actually, like when he realized how expensive it was to buy stuff in Hawaii, we needed to replace all the light bulbs in the hotel. The hotel had to replace all the light bulbs. And he realized that, man, light bulbs in Hawaii are really expensive. And so instead of just like paying the difference to just pay for all the light bulbs in Hawaii, like 99% of developers would, he brought suitcase by suitcase. Every time that he would fly to this property, he would bring a new suitcase of light bulbs from the mainland and have them installed in the property. He would also like, so the pool's like amazing and beautiful, but like he sourced a lot of the pool furniture from like Costco. And it's anyway, just that's like not related to anything, but it's just kind of funny. Okay, so behind every deal, there are different roles. So this is what I want to talk about here. There are like to make this building that you see behind us, and this building here is an apartment building, and then this is actually another hotel behind it. Both the hotel's a Marriott brand. You guys, if you're ever in Salt Lake, come stay with us. That'd be awesome. But behind every deal, there's a lot of different roles that are played. So developers and owners, that's like the role that I'm in. We find raw land, we figure out what's going to go on it. We work with architects and engineers and consultants to design something, and we take it from start to finish. That's kind of this role. But then we work with all of these other people to make that happen. So this is a huge role. If you're not really interested in design, or you don't really like doing a lot of different things and you just really like numbers, you can make a whole career out of just sourcing debt and equity for a project. So this project that you see here, these two buildings, they were $200 million. We raised about $65 million of debt and equity, or I'm sorry, of equity on that project, and the rest was debt. So $65 million of equity had to be raised, and that takes a lot of work, and that takes a lot of coordination. There can also be a lot of money made in that for people who helped source that. On the debt side, we paid a broker to source that debt, and we paid him like 1% of the entire debt value. So somebody do that math for me. 135 million times 1%. You can use a calculator if you want to. Yeah, 1.35. $1.35 million is what somebody made just by sourcing the loan on this. That's a pretty lucrative like career income. That's one deal. So that is that's a whole career in and of itself, is just sourcing debt and equity. Another side, asset and property management. Once it's actually up and running, someone has to visit these properties all the time and make sure that they stay nice and they're up and running. That's actually a really fun thing. If you really like working with people and you feel like you've got a good idea of how to take care of things, that could be a great career for you. So property managers, they're the ones who are taking care of like the day-to-day leasing. So they're on site. They're the ones who meet you, lease you an apartment, help residents feel welcome, do those kinds of things. Asset managers are the people who actually help to manage the property managers for owners and developers. So like in our world, we try to keep everything that we own forever. And when we do that, we typically hire asset managers to help kind of keep the properties nice, keep them up and running, make sure that we're hitting budgets, make sure that things stay clean, because property managers aren't always as motivated as owners to keep the properties as nice as we might like. Excuse me, another one, brokerage. Somebody had to help us actually buy this land. In this case, we didn't use a broker, but in a lot of properties we do. So if you like working with people, again, you have a decent sense of numbers, you kind of have a good idea of how to sell things to people, being a broker could be a great career for you. Brokers' commissions are also really high. So, and there's a lot of different things that you can do. You can be a land broker. You can help people find land for projects. You could be a broker who helps people only sell projects. So, okay, so this one, we built it for 200 million. Let's say that you could in theory sell it for $300 million. A broker listing this asset would probably get about $600,000 just for helping us sell it. The kind of average commission on a property sale is about 300,000. On something like this, it would probably be a little bit higher. So that's another thing that you can look at is, hey, man, I want to just help people buy and sell things. And that's an awesome career too. Last thing is, there are so many different ways to specialize within development that you can become a consultant who just gets really, really good at one thing. I've kind of become a generalist. I help run our deals from start to finish. And so I know a lot about lot of different things, but I don't dive super deep into very many things. I use consultants and I rely on engineers and professionals to help really like dive into things. But you can become one of those specialists. You know, if I would have spent the last 9 years just really focused on one area, I could probably now sell that time to other people to help them do that one thing that I'm really good at. So like for instance, a specialty might be like these buildings, one common thing that gets damaged a lot in buildings is water intrusion. So when it rains or snows or something happens, water gets into buildings and causes a lot of damage. People make their whole career out of just helping buildings stay dry. And that's probably more of like a technical engineering job, but like that's just an example of like one way to specialize. And there's a lot of other things like that we could talk about. The point is like real estate in general is multidisciplinary. It's one industry, but there are so many different options and there are a ton of different careers. I'm going to kind of talk about being a developer and being on the owner and developer side. And I want to talk about sort of 3 big skills that I think that you would want or need to be an owner or developer. And I've talked about a few of them, right? And they're not overly complicated things, but you do kind of need these 3 things. Or if you don't have one of the 2, you could specialize in the other 2 or whatever. But if you want to be on the owner and developer side, you kind of need a little bit more of a holistic approach. And for me, that was great because I get bored. I don't want to just do one thing. And it's really fun to do lots of different things in a given day. So marketing and design, that is one skill that I think is really important. And it's a soft skill, but it's really key. So like that building that I showed you, when it was just raw land, we spent a ton of time thinking about, gosh, what are we actually going to build? And who are we going to market this to? And where is it located in Salt Lake? And how does this actually come together? So I'm going to show you that area that we call or have is called the West Quarter. And will it play sound here too? Okay, so I'll show you this video. But this came after, so we landed on the West Quarter. That was after like 3 months of just trying to figure out, like, what should we call this thing? What should we do? We kind of figured out what we wanted to do. We worked for years on a plan, and then we still didn't have like naming or branding or colors or anything like that. So the difference between just having a building without branding and having a building with branding is huge. People will pay a lot more money to live in a building with really cool branding and that feels like it actually has a sense of like community and place. And so marketing is huge. So I'll show you guys this video real quick. And just as you watch it, be thinking of like sort of the branding and marketing side of development.
It is SOP. And we got to see the part that one that tremendous attention. Yeah, now making one downtown. Very excited. Publication of the quarter made it feel very home, made it feel very approachable. If we think of hallmarks of being something from the stuff, kind of right in the middle of where things are starting to happen. Just the convention center and the jazz of having system papers that say, okay, now it's like here. So like really depends on this project before we'll put our hearts into it, because it means so much. It's going to be a transformative project that's going to identify and reconnect Salt Lake City forever. Do you want people to feel that sense of belonging, or them to feel a refuge from the environment? We think the community design, feel lifestyle, about this garage, but I'm going to
So do you guys see the difference between like that and just calling it like Salt Lake Apartments? Cool, like come live at the Salt Lake Apartments. It tells a story. It shares a brand. It hopefully evokes some emotion. Right. That's huge. And you guys know, like as part of business, that's a big deal. To be able to tell that story and to actually market to people. So because of that, so right now, like that apartment project, it's getting the highest rents in Salt Lake City, and we're leasing up really well. And it's doing really well right now. And I think a big part of that is because we took a lot of time and just to think about that branding. So that's one skill that's super important. The other part, finance. Do you like to work with numbers? How many people here like to work with numbers? Okay, a lot. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and it's okay if you don't. Like there's so much room in the world for everybody. So, but if you really like to work with numbers, the finance side is important as well. So let me just show you real quick. Okay, so this is something my background is in finance, so this is an area that I have kind of specialized in more than some others. But this is a pro forma. This is for a different project, but everything that you see in blue here is an input. So meaning that we get to toggle and change it. And so this is the project budget. It's a $92 million project, but to get to that 92 million, you have to input every single item here, and every item sometimes can have research and work behind it. And then you get to, that's just on the cost side. Then we have a unit mix side. So this is, okay, we've got 352 different apartment units. What do we think we can rent all of those for? If you live on the 5th story, how much more do you think you could charge? If you live on the 4th story, how much more do you think you could charge? Other income, all those different things. You guys all live in apartments right now or houses? Okay, who's like so sick of extra? Do you guys get charged extra fees and stuff in apartments? What's like an example of like an extra annoying fee that you've been charged? Yeah. Okay, so that one, yeah. Has anyone been charged? Has anyone been to? Oh yeah. Okay, that's actually a good example. Okay, we'll bring up, so thumbtack sized holes. Anyone been charged any other fees that you were like, what the heck? Yeah. How much do you get charged for that a month? Oh my gosh, yeah. Those greedy developers, man, they're the worst. Okay. What, I saw 2 other hands. What are some other? Yeah. And then this, what was that one? An additional for heat. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's just annoying, right? And what was this one? An application fee. You have to pay just to like apply. Yeah. Okay. That's ridiculous. Do you guys know why they do that? Like, do you feel like you have an understanding of like really why developers try to do that? It's because it's partly developers' fault. Okay. It's an obnoxious thing. But the other part is that developers and owners are just ridiculously rewarded by charging extra little fees. So you guys in business, like you're familiar with the way maybe finance companies are valued. They're valued on a multiple of EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization. Basically, their net operating income. And then they get a multiple on that. So if I have $100 of EBITDA and my multiple is a 20, then I'm going to get 20 times 100, and that's my new company value. Well, apartments and commercial real estate are valued in a very similar way. In apartments, it's not a multiple, but they call it a cap rate. But it means the same thing. To figure out what the multiple is, the cap rates are in a percentage. So right now, the market's at about a 5% cap rate. What all that means, if you just take 100 divided by 5, you've got a 20 times multiple. That's really just a fancy way of saying that apartment buildings in Utah right now are valued at a 20 times multiple. So let's go through this example real quick. How much did they charge you? The concierge fee was how much? 110 bucks a month? Okay. So let me just show you on a 352 unit project at $110 a month, how much value that just created for the owner and developer. Okay, so you've got 110, so we'll say concierge fee, $110. And we've got 352 units on this project that we're looking at right now. So unit count. So we're going to do monthly income. Okay, so you've got this times that. Let's make that $1. Okay, so for starters, I mean, just on a monthly basis, that's pretty good. $38,000 a month of additional revenue. And they're going to have a cost on that too. Let's be fair. Like, but to be fair, their all-in cost is probably like maybe 50 or 60 bucks a month. Okay. So we'll be fair there. We'll say, and then we've got the expense side, and we've got, oh, I don't know, let's call it $50 a month. So now you've got 50, make this negative, 50 times 352. So you've got expenses of 17 grand and revenue of 38. So you've got monthly net income of $21,000. Okay. Now you're going to take that monthly income and you're going to make it annual. So you've got $21,000 times 12, $250,000 of net income. That's cool. Like, that's good cash flow. But now look at what this does when you go to sell the property. You take that and you either multiply it by 20 or you divide by 5%. Math-wise, it's the same. That's $5 million of value that got added to that property by charging you that. And it's so annoying. Like, as a like person who lives in places, I hate it. As an owner and developer, it's awesome. So but you guys can understand that, like, the next time, that's why, like, those property managers sometimes are so aggressive on the fees that they try to charge you. It's because they have some owner, developer, or asset manager who's sitting behind them saying, like, hey man, like, we really got to get our other income up. You got to get those other fees up because we want this property to be valued as high as possible. That, man, as I'm saying this out loud, I feel like gross. But that's the reality. Okay, so I wanted you to know that. That's just one aspect of the finance side. There's more to it, but that's one of the big 3 skills. The last one that is so important is emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence, you guys maybe been seeing it written about more. That's just your ability to interact and work with people. Like, are you someone who can read people? Do you understand the way that people tick? Do you like people? And if you have emotional intelligence, that is a huge deal. And for me, that's honestly, like, of these 3, like, if someone doesn't have emotional intelligence, then like that, and it's a deal breaker, because there's so much stuff within development and in business in general that you got to be able to work with people. And so that's a big deal. So how do you succeed in real estate development? You try to find the right combination of these 3 skills to make it work. Okay, we've got a little bit of time left, and I want to spend the rest of class just going through some real life scenarios here. Okay, so I think, let me start with this one actually. One more. Yeah. Yeah. It honestly just depends. So I really do love that part of being able to do a lot of different things. So let's take Thursday, for instance. On Thursday, I started my day on a project that was under construction, and I met with a contractor and an architect to try and get a building finished. Then I went and had a interior design call where we helped design a penthouse for a project and worked with a flooring layout plan. Then I went to another construction meeting, and then I spent the rest of the day on phone calls and working on pro formas. So it honestly, like, lots of different stuff. And some days are way more like, you got to lock yourself in with a computer. Other days you're out the whole day. Today I'm at Utah State. Just depends on where you're at. It can be a grind at first. Right now, yeah, 50 to 60, probably. Now, like 45 to 50. Yeah, with some weeks with less, which is great. Yeah, yes. Yeah, generally it would be like on par with like a finance degree. So you're probably in the 60 to $80,000 range for like an analyst position. Yeah. Yes. Um, Man, I don't know. I think I just really I started to really like it. And so like I know people say that and it's really cheesy where like, oh, find a job where it doesn't feel like work. There was legitimately like a period where I just like I would start a new week and I was like, oh, this is really fun. Um, and so then I did a master's in real estate development too, and that was probably like the biggest turning point of just like, oh man, I like this enough that I want to go to work all day. And then my master's program was a professional program, so I went to classes at night. Um, and that was really it. Sorry, that's probably a poor answer, but yeah, go. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Yep. Yeah. That's a great question. Yeah, we do everything on a 10-year hold. So you can see like this is our annual cash flow tab, and it actually runs through 12 years. But we do it all, we assume a 10-year exit, but we don't ever plan to actually sell it. And like our IRR on this one, we're 17 and a quarter, and that's based on buying and then holding for a long time. Yeah. No, that's a good question. We raised a lot of our equity through friends and family and private people whenever we can. And then yeah, we put debt on every project. Just because debt, if you have debt on something just in finance, it increases your returns. And so we try not to go overly aggressive on debt, but we bring on debt to every project. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, rent growth and yep, yeah, making sure that the numbers going in make sense too. Yeah, no, great questions. Yes. No, that's a great question. You really don't. No, you don't need a master's degree. It helps in if I had been doing this for longer, there's no way I would have done a master's degree. What it helped is it's sort of like a knowledge accelerator. And so I had been working for I think 2 years full time, 3 years full time, and I just felt like I was starting to kind of get like stagnant, and it really helped me kind of like just speed up the next couple years of learning. So yeah, good question though. Yeah. I knew I always wanted to do something. I was looking at doing an MBA for a while, and then when I realized I really liked development, an MBA didn't make as much sense because it's more general. But that could be a good option. But it was through a lot of just like talking with people I worked with, talking with my wife, my parents. Um, and honestly, I don't know that a master's is good for everybody. Like I'm not here to sell you on master's programs. But for me, like at that time, it was awesome, and I would do it again. But you might reach a point in your career where you're like, yeah, or some people just don't ever get them, and it's great too. But it's kind of like the same people who are like, hey, I don't need a college degree, and you guys are all clearly here. Um, you know that there are pros and cons to going to college, and there are skills that you can learn probably by not being here. But like it's in a lot of ways, it's challenging and hard, and not everybody can pull it off. Yeah, yeah, of course. Any other questions? Yeah, Justin. I don't know. Yeah, yeah, we probably not paying down debt, but making sure that the debt's like super long term and just safe, if that makes sense. So we want to make sure that our properties are covering our debt payments really comfortably every month and every year. So yeah, good question though. Can I ask you for some help on something, guys? So this is This is a project that, this is again, a real project that we have. This is the one that we were looking at, that pro forma. Okay, it's a beautiful project. This is an American Fork. And oh, didn't shift to the big mode. So this is in American Fork, Utah, and it's 352 units. Come on. Oh, is it still? Oh, there we go. Boom. I've still got it. I've still, I can still do this. Hang on, it's gonna click on one any minute now. There we go. Yeah, I had full confidence that was coming. Okay, so this is our project in American Fork. Aside from this, so that's kind of like just one elevation. An elevation is just like a side of a building. It's kind of like high end, but not like way high end. We're really not focusing on being like bougie as much as the branding I'm going to show you is focused more around health, wellness, balance, and creating a sense of community like we talked about. Give me one quick second here. I'll open it up. Let me show you one other image too. Okay, so the property itself, it's 3 separate buildings and then a big separate clubhouse. The clubhouse is like 6,000 square feet. We've got an infinity edge pool. Do you guys know what that is? It's like the kind that just like keep flowing over, which is really kind of sweet. This doesn't actually show how cool the pool is because this drawing's changed. We have a hot tub, which they call a spa. We also have a sauna, which is kind of unique for apartments. And then we've got a fitness center that's like 3,000 square feet. So like it's as big as a lot of like commercial fitness centers, big leasing office. It's kind of a cool design. We're going for kind of this Scandinavian feel. And so we're using a lot of lighter woods, natural materials, just sort of like simple, elegant design. Let me show you. So these are some images. Okay, so that's all great and stuff. The property's been under construction now for like 8 months, and that's all really cool. The problem is, and what I need your help with, guys, is we don't have a name. We have no idea what in the heck to call this thing. So we still in our office, because it's like Scandinavian, we just call it American Fjork. Because and like we literally, like, we have no idea. And every time that we do brainstorming, like all we do is just come up with stupid joking names. And I need your help. So I'm gonna put up the branding here, and I want you guys to form groups of like 5 or 6. And please take the next 5 minutes knowing what you know about this project. And I'm gonna show you, we'll walk through the branding a little bit more. Okay, hang on. So this is our target demographic, 29-year-old. This is in Utah County, so it's kind of the center of the Silicon Slopes, techie, that market. So we've got a 26-year-old professional, married guy with no kids. That's kind of it. There aren't going to be a ton of kids here. Kind of, 30 and under is the main demographic. Making between 100 and 150K a year. You see their defining terms. This guy's well-rounded, grounded, stable, successful, and driven. This person is healthy, free-spirited, independent, conscientious, all of those things. You can take a quick look through here. Home for our residents means a place that centers on our daily living, a place to dwell. Focus on self-care and be surrounded by high craft items in a comforting environment. Isn't this sound just like beautiful? The concept of lifestyle provides a sense of wellness and elevated living, blah, blah, blah. I'll leave that up so you guys can read it in your groups. Here are some images and some keywords that evoke the branding. Okay. Oh, I can't show you those. Those are potentials. Okay, so if you guys will break off into groups until 2:24 and just start brainstorming. There are no bad ideas here, but just come back with like 1 or 2 names for me, please. Sound good? Okay, I'll leave some of these things on the screen for you as well. And guys, seriously, if anyone chooses a name that we actually end up using, we will make it worth your while. I'll come back with gift cards, whatever's legal. I don't know what I can actually do, but we'll make sure it's worth your time. Okay. And if you just use ChatGPT and generate a name, then I guess that works too. I can just see all these phones open and computers, and I'm like, I bet they're just using ChatGPT. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. 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 Well, thanks. Yeah. Forget it always goes faster than it would to. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so let me tell you, if we actually do this, then that would be amazing. This is branding for these apartment projects, and we did part of it already, so that part's not totally done. But branding and naming for apartment projects typically costs anywhere from like $15,000 to $20,000, and you can get as high as like $80,000. Like on that big West Quarter project, we went through this whole exercise. We went through a million different names, and then we ended up at the West Quarter, which was actually what one of our partners liked from the beginning that he came up with. But I think we spent like $40,000 on branding and naming, only to come up with a name that we had already chosen. So, all right, I just want to hear it. So, you guys want to start on? Okay, this is awesome. Let's start on this side of the room here. Oh, that's actually really cool. Henrik? Okay, I actually like that a lot. Cool. Is that the top one and the one? Okay, guys, that's a sweet. Why Oasis Village? Just the like Zen. Okay, cool. I like it. I like it. Awesome. Yes. The falls. Oh yeah, that's cool. I like it too. Nice. Yes. Serenity Flats. Oh, again, the Zen mixed with kind of apartment living. Ah, okay, awesome. I like it. It sounds like a day spa. That's nice. Okay, any other names we want to throw out? Yes, going around. Oh, Nordic Heights. Oh, okay. That's awesome. Very on the nose. That's good. That is like we are going for Nordic branding hardcore. I like it. I like it. Okay. Good. Any others back there? You guys have one? You guys came up with Nordic Heights? Nordic Peaks. Ah, I like it. Sweet. Okay. Hemet. Oh, that's actually cool. Hemet. I think I like it. Cool. Thank you. Yes. Meridian Lofts? And why Meridian? Sweet. I like it. I like it a lot. Thank you. Any others, guys? Yes. Harmonious Living. Oh, that's cool. It's funny. So I haven't showed you guys. These are some like potential names that they came up. One of them was Harmonia, which means harmony in Finnish. Cool. Okay. Any others? Did we get? Yes. Oh, that's pretty cool. The Retreat at Valhalla. That sounds like Thor. I like it, but like the retreat. That's cool. Nice. Okay, were there any others, guys, or is that it? Okay, sweet. Okay, guys. So, like this, truly, I, you guys can hold me to it. You'll see the website and stuff. Like, but I wanted to give you an example. Like, this is kind of a silly one, right? And you're trying to name a building, but this is legitimately like, I could show you my to-do list, and it is like, I've had this on my list of things to do for way too long. And we've tried, and it's been hard. Let me just show you real quick here. I don't know when I created this task. Hang on. Oh, did we just barely take it off? Nope, branding. Okay, all we've done have come up with stupid names. American Fjord, Holden Fjord, Fjorkenheim, IKEA, New York Lofts. It's really hard. So you can see, like, I like marketing, I like design. I wouldn't say it's like my number one strength. But whatever you're good at, you can use that in a career and development. And that's really what I was trying to show you. And this is a legitimate thing that we're working on. And that's really it for today, guys. Thank you so much for your time. It's great to meet you. If I can ever help you in any way, yeah. Oh, sure. Sure. That'd be great. Yep. Yeah, feel free, guys. It's good to meet you, and yeah, good luck finishing this year out. That's pretty awesome.